Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
I'm freezing. My podcast room is in the basement, and the room was closed all day. The door was closed to the room all day, and it doesn't have. I don't know if it has any heating vents other than the heat coming in the door, and it is freezing in this room. Other than that, I'm happy, Bruce. It was an unexpected victory. I thought. I just kept expecting. You just wrote a post about how the Oilers have been sieving on defense, and I just expected them to collapse on defense at any point. And it happened a little bit on some of the goals against, but it didn't really happen in crunch time. It was Dallas who came apart. It was Dallas. The Dallas goalie might have let in a few he would like back, as the announcers like to say. And the Oilers won it 6-3. That was very. Man, it seems like every time the Oilers win this year, it's like a much needed win, Bruce. But again, it was a much needed win because they're just keeping it so close to the edge of being, kind of on the outside of the playoffs, and they're kind of scraping along here and getting players back. And one of them tonight, Warren Fogle, contributed. Anyway, Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And because it's a pretty big Oilers win, we'll go with two good things each. So why don't you start it off? What's your first good thing?
Tonight, I'm going to give a big shout out to Coach Jay Woodcroft. I thought he did a masterful job of disguise. I wrote a big post about Oilers' issues defensively and about how the McDavid-Draisaitl line has been outscored in each of the three losses that the Oilers suffered recently. In fact, in 4 of the last 5 games, they got outscored, and the Oilers lost all 4 of those games by 1 goal. So I thought, and this was hardly a lone voice in the wilderness, I thought it was high time that they broke the lineup and did something different. And I was frankly expecting it, but Woodcroft played it pretty close to his chest, to the point that he even had NHL.com releasing the Oilers forward lines. It's basically status quo from last game. And when I updated my post to do the sort of game day this afternoon, I was sort of, well, I'm really surprised, but here you are. We're going to stick with the same thing, And then just before game time, I guess was when it became known. They didn't do them in the warm-up, apparently. They didn't use these lines, but they had them ready to go in the game. So the ruse is a small part of it. The bigger part of it is the actual lines that Woodcroft came up with, which was really, I thought all 4 lines really clicked together. And it was a very different look with the centers 3, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, each on their own line, each playing with at least one different winger that they, didn't play a lot with. I guess the McDavid, Puljujarvi, Hyman line had played a bunch of time earlier in the season, now that I think about it. But they gave Nugent Hopkins really Klim Kostin on his wing with Matthias Janmark, his usual running mate, and they took Yamamoto off that set, and I thought that was an inspired combination, and obviously they had a really big game that you're going to talk about more in a minute. And then we had Draisaitl reunited with Yamamoto with Warren Fogle on the left side, and of course they combined for the game-winning goal, and I thought they had a strong game, those guys, and they were creating quite a bit, and they weren't giving up very much. And it was a wide open game, and Dallas is a very good team, top 10 in goals for, goals against, power play, penalty kill, face-offs. I mean, that's a strong team, and the Oilers basically has stayed with them, and then one going away at the end. And even the fourth line, where Devon Shore was given a merciful seat in the press box, and James Hamlin came in, and I thought he played pretty good, and those guys gave the team, I thought, 8 solid minutes tonight. Didn't give up a whole lot, and created a little bit. And Dylan Holloway was throwing his weight around a little bit, and so I really thought all four of the new lines were effective, and I just thought it was a refresh that the Oilers badly needed. So credit to Woodcroft for getting it right, and credit to him, I think, for the sly way in which he introduced that, which may have caused some sort of in-game consternation on the part of Dallas and their head coach Pete DeBoer, who, for whatever reason, is one of the coaches in the league that I personally dislike. So I love to see him on the defensive and not really having the answers like he didn't have tonight. And so score one for the coach. And it's we haven't been given many shout outs to Woodcroft this year like we did last year, and with reason. I mean, his team's been struggling. But they didn't struggle tonight. They played a good game. They deserved to win it, and they won it.
Maybe it's his dour face, his DeBoer's dour face. He's very serious looking man, crabby looking. Anyway.
Now, Laviolette's another one, but there's a specific reason that I have it on for Laviolette, because of course he coached the Hurricanes in the 06 Stanley Cup Finals. So.
Yeah. Yeah, good for Woodcroft. Those were good lines, Bruce. And I'm gonna the magic came from two lines in particular in the end, Draisaitl's line and Nugent Hopkins' line. And I'll start with Draisaitl's line because they got the winning goal and just that play itself. Okay. Leon had an up and down game. He had some defensive mistakes, but he drove the team on a night when Connor McDavid was really quiet. Leon made major contributions to 6 grade A shots at even strength. The grade A shots overall were 13-13. So Leon was, in fact, the prime offensive driver on the team, although he didn't have the most points or goals.
Right.
But he was in on the key goal where Warren Foegele, who had a pretty quiet game, that line had not been outstanding. They got better as the game went along. Yamamoto missed a few chances around the net, flubbed a few chances around the net. But Draisaitl and Yamamoto like playing together. Anyway, Fogel's going in there. He hadn't done much all game, and he gets in there hard on the forecheck, and he forces a turnover from the Dallas defenseman that goes right onto Leon's stick. That's not the guy you want to turn the puck over in the offensive zone to Leon Draisaitl, second leading point scorer in the NHL. And he made just a scintillating pass over to Foegele, who then made it an even better shot. He very few people other than Leon Draisaitl can execute the executioner's shot, where you just kind of one time it lashing your stick towards the net and firing hard
it home into the top of the net. Yeah.
What a shot from Warren Foegele! Every dog shall have his day, and every cat will mew. That was an incredible shot from Foegele. He'll be reliving that for months now. Every time he's having a quiet moment, he'll just think of that shot and he'll be feeling happy, because that was a hell of a shot. That was an incredible play by Warren Foegele. And it just shows, he is a solid player. The Oilers do miss him when he was out of the lineup. It's good that he's back. It's good that McLeod's coming back. I mean, I don't think the Oilers have been incredibly banged up this year. They haven't lost many defensemen, for instance, all year long. That's usually something that happens. And so it's not like the Oilers have suffered injury woes that are incredible or worse than other teams. They've been I'm guessing they're about league average in terms of losing players this year. But it's good that Fogel's back, and that was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, well, he had been kind of the GOAT earlier when he took what I thought was a pretty lame interference call, but it wound up costing Edmonton the 2-2 goal, I think it was. It was the 3-3 goal late in the second with Foegele in the box. One of a series of lame calls. And now it was Foegele, I think it was Foegele who drew the penalty on Tyler Seguin early in the second period that led to Edmonton's power play goal. So there's that. So I guess that he evened up on that. And that also was a pretty lame call. Like all the penalties that were called in this game added up was worth about one minor penalty. Anyway, they wound up sawing off 1-1 on power play goals, so we can say that really was a non-factor, other than it was aggravating at times. man, Zach Hyman, that penalty he got for trying to stay onside. Oh,
I think
anyway.
that was a penalty though. Like he did clip
Well,
him.
he he was just hustling to get to the blue line and just incidental contact. But
But
anyway,
nonetheless, I
well,
mean,
it
I
was a
didn't like
penalty because they called it.
I didn't like the call on Fogle at all. Like compared to
Jay
normal
Woodcroft didn't
interference,
either.
that was crap. I mean, come on. Connor McDavid's interfered like that every shift 3 or 4
Yeah.
times. Like it's ridiculous
So,
that Fogle would get called for that.
Oilers
And there
took
was,
four interference penalties in this game.
uh,
So
I mean, yeah,
anyway, that was on the agenda tonight, apparently. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked on that stuff. I'm just saying, Fogle drew a penalty. He took a penalty. Both ones were kind of marginal calls, and both lethal power plays converted it into a goal, which is, it stings to take a cheap penalty against a team with a really strong power play. But the good news for Oilers fans, nobody has a stronger power play than your Edmonton Oilers, and they proved it yet again tonight. The quick conversion of their first chance.
Historic power play, eh?
Yeah.
And that was what is that? Was that your second good thing, or what are you going to go with?
Okay. No, that was.
That was a pretty good thing, but.
Yeah. No, I was just kind of expanding on your comment there.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead. What is your second good thing?
My second good thing is just the play of the foot soldiers. Like I say, the new deployment allowed players to get involved a little bit, and we had some funky things happen tonight. Like Marcus Niemelainen, number 6 defenseman on the team, and defines the third pairing no matter who his partner is. I would say +4 in this game with a shot, and of course with 4 hits. Which is his big thing, but just a whole lot of good, solid grinding, and I thought, just moving the puck in the right direction, and he and Evan Bouchard had, I mean, the shots on net when they were on the ice 5-on-5 was 10-2 for Edmonton, and I thought Niemelainen was, decent at the offensive blue line, nothing special, but he did smart things with the puck, and in the own zone he put up a battle. He took a couple of hits and he dished out a few and played a solid game. Jesse Puljujarvi, that's been taking all sorts of abuse in various corners of the internet and the media, had, I thought, a tremendous third period. He made, by our count, David, 3 different major contributions to grade A chances by the Oilers, all of them by winning battles, and that's his game, including a great play on the McDavid goal where he came, the puck came around the wall, and he was guarding the middle of the ice, and he had to get on his horse from just across sort of the center line of the ice, all the way to the right wing boards to saw off the battle. When the puck came around, the defenseman was there to keep it in. Maybe it was Suter. Anyway, whoever the left defenseman was for Dallas. And Yessa won that battle, and the puck bounced to Cody Ceci. And he made a beautiful lead pass to McDavid, and McDavid was off to the races. And he really made, for McDavid on what was an uber quiet night, he made a real nice play and scored. And if you look at the replay, all the replays they showed on TV, 4 of them, and they all showed the CC pass, and none of them showed the Puljujarvi one battle, which to me was the start of the play. Without that, none of the rest of it even happens. And if you're watching the goal celebration, watch McDavid's response specifically to Puljujarvi as he pulls into the presentation, and he knew what a big part of that play was, and that was the goal that put this game away. And I mean, Warren Fogle, you already talked about. Obviously, you're going to talk about the third line with Nuge, with Kostin and Janmark. Those guys came up with big games, and the fourth line just chipped in with a solid performance. So to me, this was a 19-man effort. Like, I think the team as a whole played well, and if anything, it was the star players who were kind of having a lesser than normal night, and the rest of the lineup that really chipped in with a strong effort.
Yeah, I liked the. I just thought the one line really stood out as quite a bit better than the other lines, and that was Nugent Hopkins, Janmark, and Costin. And I'm not surprised that he kept Janmark and Nugent Hopkins together. Janmark, he has been playing very strong two-way hockey, and he just hasn't been rewarded with points, goals or points until tonight. So it was nice to see that happen, and it's nice to see him get a few points because he's been playing well. And if a forward only has 2 or 3 points, it looks like, after 20 games, it looks like he's been crappy, right? So
he hasn't been.
Yeah, and he hasn't been. No, I think he's actually been pretty good. And let's see what he has now. He's now got 6 points in 20 games, so that looks a lot better than
doubled his season
he's
total in one
doubled it.
game.
And Nuge, I don't remember who it was. Where I think maybe you said like he's finally got his man strength.
Yeah,
maybe
I
you
did.
that on the internet somewhere.
Podcast,
that was a very funny comment. I keep repeating that to my wife. She loves Nugent Hopkins and Yamamoto are her favorite players, and so I keep telling her that, and she laughs every time. So because it's a funny comment.
Well, I think it's true. It is funny because of course his Achilles heel for much of his career has been his inability to win battles.
Yeah.
And I mean, for his man strength, I mean, it's not like he's a Achilles, but he's no longer losing battles. And he loses some, obviously, everyone does, but he's no longer losing like the majority of battles because he's getting overpowered. He's the strongest he's probably going to get. He's probably right in his athletic prime at 29 years old. And he's not getting pushed around in any way, shape, or form out there. And he's showing up in the dirty areas, as the commenters also like to say, and coming away with the puck, or getting the puck from those dirty areas to good places, like onto the sticks of teammates or into the back of the net.
It is surprising because honestly, I always expected him to play this game. Mm-hmm. I mean, when he came in the NHL, people were saying, this player, if he develops as well as he can, he could be the next Pavel Datsyuk. I remember that that kind of, and I was thinking, yeah, and I was thinking, oh well, that's really because he's got offensive skill. So I was thinking more like Davey Keon, which is another really fantastic hockey player, obviously.
Yes,
but Keon always played. But my recollections of Keon are late in his career when he had his man strength, and he was very tenacious hockey player. He just totally dug in all the time and hustled like crazy. I've always felt that Nuge didn't dig in hard enough, didn't battle hard enough. With all his skill, he just didn't, and that's what was holding him back from being. That's why he was put on the wing, because he wasn't getting it done at center, because he was getting bowled over on the boards and in the slot. But maybe you're right. Maybe it was never a matter of effort. And it was more always a matter of strength. But I'm going to go with both. I'm going to say, Bruce, he's got his man strength both physically and mentally.
Yes, that's
and
fair.
That a big part of what I'm seeing is a player who is determined. He is not losing battles anymore. He is going to go into every battle with the idea he's going to win it. And man, tonight, did he ever win a lot of battles? It was repeated in all over the ice. He wins the puck, and he controls the puck, and he moves the puck. I mean, he's playing the kind of center that should be inspirational to both McDavid and Draisaitl, who both have their more lapses on defense that I'm seeing from Nugent Hopkins. It used to be the other way around. Nugent Hopkins would make more mistakes on defense than the two younger centers. Now he's the one who's leading the way and showing those two players, this is how you get it done as a two-way center against top competition in the NHL. And good for him. Plus, he's scoring. So the scoring plays were... they weren't, and Costin, I'll just focus on him for a second. He's a big guy who can protect the puck and make smart plays with it. I was impressed actually tonight with the intelligence of his passing. He would get the puck, he wouldn't panic, and he would make a nice play. And that was on the first goal we saw it. He took it around the net. Nugent Hopkins went hard to the net, right into the blue paint, took a player or two with him. And Janmark just had to put that into the net. That's an easy goal for an NHL player to score, and it was because of Costin's very heads up play and putting the puck across. The next goal, which was for that line, was Nugent Hopkins' goal at even strength. And I think Janmark sent him in on the rush. And Nuge just fired a hard shot at net, which deflected off. I'm almost certain the Dallas defender's stick and into the net, beating Ottinger. It's the kind of goal though that it's a kind of a bit of a backbreaker on a team because again, it's a shot from outside. You don't expect that to go in, and when it does, it really hurts. So that was a very welcome moment in the hockey game.
It's a hard shot, and let's put it this way: we've seen enough of those goals go into Oilers' nets. It's nice to get a bounce at the other end once in a while. It wasn't like a totally unearned goal. It was just sort of a B shot that the deflection turned into an A shot, but it was hard and it found a hole.
That happens. And then the last goal was the empty netter where Niemelainen blocks a shot. Kostin wins the battle. Kostin and Nuge both win battles on the boards and get it over to Janmark. And again, I just felt it's fitting, right? He is such a smart hockey player. He's a good hockey player. He's been involved actually in creating a lot of grade A shots. They just haven't gone in. So he got a point off in an empty net shot from outside. Where, some players, Josh Archibald would have missed that one.
Well, some players would have panicked and shot it into the defenseman's skates, and he made a really crafty play there at the blue line. He made the defenseman commit, and then he just held it, and he drifted a little bit wider and gave himself a clear lane to the net, and then he hit the shot. A very composed play by Janmark, very composed player, and this had to be a very fun game for him as a longtime member of the Dallas Stars to go into Dallas and come away with a first star performance. This is one he'll put in his sort of career highlight bank.
Bruce, I don't have a history of liking third and fourth line players on the Edmonton Oilers very much. I think especially fourth line centers, I end up hating almost every one of them, I'm sorry to say, which is anyway, but I'm liking
Hamlin, come on down.
I'm just destined not to like James Hamlin. I feel terrible about it, but I'm trying. Like so far, I like what I see. Anyway, I mean, I like Devin Shore's play at one time too. I like Mark Letestu at one point as well, but sometimes they overstay their welcome. But anyway, Matthias Janmark, he's probably like a third line winger on the Oilers, but ever since I've seen him, every game he's played, I just thought this is a really smart and useful hockey player. I really like the way he plays hockey. He's a good hockey player, so that's a hell of a signing. I didn't know this about him. I don't follow the other teams that closely, and I certainly don't do video review of them. But this is a good hockey player that they found, and he is a hockey player. If you can get healthy for the playoffs and you get McLeod and Kane back, and you load up the top lines, here's a third line in the playoffs of Nugent Hopkins, Janmark, and Kostin. If that's a possibility, that could help you win some games, Bruce. That's really exciting.
Or you get Kane and back, and you got McLeod back, and then even those guys are on your fourth line. Well, guess what? Now you've got a fourth line that you don't have to keep on the bench for 55 minutes. You can get them out there for 10 or 12 minutes and be okay with it. So anyway, Janmark, I saw him real good during the bubble playoffs here in 2020. And of course, the whole Western Conference from the beginning was here in Edmonton, and all the games were from Rogers Place. And I saw a lot of those games, especially when Dallas took out Calgary. I kind of became a closet Matthias Janmark fan during that series. And they played 26 games in that playoff run before they finally got toppled by Tampa Bay. And a lot of, they won 3 game sevens, I believe. Anyway, they certainly had. They had an extent. There was 5 series, I guess, for them. So they had a long, hard go at it, and he just impressed me as just a smart depth player who wouldn't hurt you, and every once in a while he could do something offensively and kill penalties and win board battles. And I'm seeing that same player here, and I'm liking him quite a lot. And it's all of a sudden now with this performance, he's got 6 points in 20 games.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's decent bottom 6 production because he never sees any time on the power play. And so he's got to get all of his points at even strength and maybe the odd one on the penalty kill. And tonight, I mean, even the empty netter. That line and defense pair wouldn't have been out there, but they iced the puck, and then Dallas pulled the goalie, so they were Oilers were stuck with their, third line and third pairing, and it took them 15 seconds to ice the game. So, job well done.
Bruce, what is your bad thing?
This is a tough one, David. I know you got. I'm going to let you rant first, and I'm going to focus on my bad thing, if you don't mind, because I already kind of ranted on the refs, and I got no Oilers I'm going to scream and yell at. But I think you got one, so you go for it.
Well, I think this was another bad game from Darnell Nurse, and what I'm noticing. Here's what I notice about him overall, Bruce, because I was watching him closely the way he's playing. And he's been playing heavy minutes. And what I see is a player who no longer really hustles on defense. He seems like he's conserving energy. And there was one play in the second period which really defined it. They were in the Dallas was in the Oilers' end, passing the puck around, and the puck they had rushed it in and took it around the net and was going to come back out to the slot. And instead of quickly identifying the player in the slot, I think it was just give me a second. I'll get you his name in a second here. Wyatt Johnson, who had just scored a goal, just previously scored a goal. He was wide open in the slot, and Nurse he took too long to identify him as the danger man, and then he finally moved over to him instead of just being wired into the game and hustling over to get onto that guy before he can get off the shot. Now, he missed the net on the shot, but he could have easily scored. And it's because Nurse was late to him. And this is I think the fundamental problem is he's developed some bad habits because out of conserving energy, he's not alert enough. He's not thinking, I got to hustle. He's thinking, I got to kind of conserve energy so I can stay out here for half the game, which is what they're asking him to do. So I just think they definitely need to cut back his ice time, which they did tonight. He played less tonight. I think he played 22 minutes, 23 minutes. And he's got to go hard every second he's out there. Don't leave anything on a shift. Don't conserve energy and just have, they've got it. Woodcroft and Manson have got to play other players then, because this isn't working out. We're also seeing, the first play that got me going was Draisaitl got beat around the net, and the Nurse went down because he thought there might be a pass into the slot. But again, he's down on his belly, and then the guy went around the net and set up the scorer in the slot. Nurse's man, he's down on his belly. I mean, how many times now have we talked about this, complained about this? This is a tactic it is clearly not working. It's clearly not working. It almost cost the team on that play. He's lucky, people would have been. I was already screaming. I'm not on Twitter. I'm sure it was a crap show on Twitter the second that happened, because people have had enough, and someone's got to talk to him. There needs an intervention. Like, his best friends have got to get together. Like, don't do that anymore. That tactic is not working. It's not a good play. You're much better off there now. You're a big, rangy guy with quick feet. Stay on your feet and make the play. Stay on your feet and make the play.
And make the next play.
And make the next
Don't
play.
take yourself out of it so you can't clean up the mess later. Because on that play, he was down on the one post, and the guy just went right around the net and made the pass from the other post to Nurse's man, who was like 8 feet right in front, and he slammed it on net, and Skinner made a great save there. That one was in the net. So maybe what he needs is some time with Coach Eddie Shore, who was famous for not liking goalies who went down to make saves and always threatened to tie them by their necks to the crossbar. So
I think he did that, Bruce. He just didn't threaten.
He actually did it. Yes,
I think he did that. It's true. This is a different era.
The Springfield Indians of the AHL, and they were unaffiliated. They had no National Hockey League team, so Shore was in it to win it. He was there. Wasn't there to be a feeder team for anybody else. I mean, he'd sell players for profit, but he was there as a fanatical hockey man.
This was the era of intimidation and rampant bullying. All the anti-bullying stuff in schools now.
Yes.
Okay, it flows directly out of our culture of, from the 1900 to 1990, just the rampant bullying that was going on in life, schools, business, everywhere in the world, which was horrible. All right,
I'm wearing
Nurse,
my pink shirt day, anti-bullying shirt from Pink
good.
Shirt Day tonight, now that we mention it. Anyway, I think some sort of intervention, like, because he does it so by rote that as soon as there's an emergency, he drops down to the ice to try and take a lane away or try and cover as much ice as he can. Well, but by making himself horizontal, he takes himself out of the play vertically, and he takes his skates, which are one of his prime strengths, out of the play. So
It's
that
not working.
I know,
It's
and on the Wyatt Johnson, actually on the Wyatt Johnson goal, David,
Yeah,
which
I
was
was going to get into
absolutely
that.
wicked shot by the 19-year-old kid. But Nurse went uh, roaming, and not in a bad way, I didn't think, but he got all the way up onto the right wing corner, and then when the counterattack came, it came up the right side, and he was kind of in the middle of the ice, kind of near Cece, and he did not recognize the danger. And by the time he took a step towards Wyatt Johnson, Johnson was gone and in on net, and he just rifled a great shot home. And just a small mistake, but in the NHL, small mistakes get punished. And this
I don't think it was a
one
small
did.
mistake, Bruce. This is one of these times when I don't know what's going on. Was he in conserving energy mode? Listen, I don't have a problem. Like, defensemen obviously should be joining the attack. It's great to join the attack, but maybe after you take that shot, or I can't remember if he shot it, but just in that moment, get back into your position,
Yeah,
hustle
really.
back as hard as you can. Where's that ethic, right? The hustling back as hard as you can into your position, because Klim Kostin was covering for him. And Wyatt
So,
Johnson went around Klim Kostin like he was an NHL rookie forward who can't play defense, which is exactly what Klim Kostin is. Can't defend backwards. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, Darnell's thinking, oh, maybe Klim's got it. He's in my spot. No, he doesn't have it. That is, it's okay to rush the puck, but get the heck back and get in your spot. You come up through the middle of this. He could have done it too. There was time to do it. So I just found I'm finding the habits that he's developed, and again, I think it's through kind of uh, maybe even a subconscious thing where he's just trying to save energy, and he's thinking, I shouldn't hustle all the time, hustle all the time, hustle on defense all the time, and then get off the ice. Play conservative hockey and then get off the ice. Stay on your feet, hustle, play conservative hockey, and Darnell Nurse can be an outstanding defenseman who adds to the attack. He's got to define himself this way, Bruce, because it's we're having like 2 weeks here of Titanic level play from Darnell Nurse,
mhm.
and it's
And
starting to turn the fan base against them, including me, I have always been a fan of Darnell Nurse, but it's getting a bit much.
I thought he had about 80% of a strong game tonight, but those, clangers of mistakes are where he's down on the ice while they're making things happen around him. Was a pretty loud 20%. I thought he was good on the PK. He did make one emergency save where he was down and he actually helped keep the puck out on that. So I guess
Well, did he?
that's
Because it
being
went off him, and then Skinner had to save it, and then Ben hit
uh,
the post.
and
But
then
he
Ben
was
hit
on
the
that
post.
play. He was cross-checked to the ice, so it's a little different. I mean, he was down not necessarily because he chose to be, but because Jamie Benn clobbered him. So
So anyway, he did lots right in this game, but as you say, it's always been a case with this player, and for years I've been cautioning people, watch the whole player. If you just focus on his mistakes, you're going to hate the guy because he makes a lot of mistakes, and he's always been like that. But he's also always made a lot of good plays, and on balance, hopefully there's more good than bad. Well, lately I would say he's been struggling with that ratio, and he's been getting ratioed in other ways on Twitter. So, and I got no complaints with his effort, but I do, sometimes think it's just spent in the wrong place. But, I think he puts his heart on his sleeve and plays hard for this team, and that earns
oh
points
God,
with
he
me.
does. He
So,
does. And he is a really good hockey player. And that said, I almost gave him a 2. But when I did think about the totality of his game, there were some good plays. He did join the rush a few times, and he had some good
Oh, he
plays
had a
on the
beautiful
attack. And
pass to Yamamoto where Yams missed the net. Man, that was a
yeah, he had some good plays. Like he's a good hockey player. He needs to settle down, and I really do blame the coaches to a large extent. They just can't play him those. Don't give him those 27, 28-minute games. Doesn't work. It's not working for this player. He's not that player who can. Some players can sit in the rocking chair or will sit in the rocking chair and play that amount of ice time. Nurse doesn't have that game where the rocking chair is working out. I don't think he's that player. He's an energy player, and he needs to play high energy shifts and get off the ice and play about 22 minutes a game.
Well, this is a game where Markus Niemelainen played 16 minutes and 29 seconds, and that was a really, instead of the usual 9 minutes or
Yeah,
whatever they've been giving him. And he responded, I mean, he played a strong game, which is presumably why they gave him more minutes, but that allowed them to scale Nurse back by a couple minutes. And it worked out well, obviously, for the team.
what's your bad thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 3-3, just because I'm particularly sick of seeing this goal. And this was on the power play
Oh
like it
yeah,
usually is for the other guys. And this is that old play where Edmonton loses the face-off in their own zone on the power play, and they lose it so cleanly that nobody has a chance to even get out to make a play. And the puck went from the face-off to the right defenseman to the left defenseman. And he fired a very good shot pass just off the net, which Tyler Sagan got a stick on and tipped into the top corner. And there was the small matter of the lost face-off, which obviously you're going to lose some face-offs. And they couldn't contain the outside shot. Nobody was able to tie up Ben's stick. And the Stars just made it look ridiculously easy to score against the Oilers' penalty kill. And the sad fact is that it has been ridiculously easy to score against the Oilers' penalty kill on too many nights this season. Just the one tonight on this one play. And literally, I mean, Skinner had just made a fantastic save. I think it was 4 seconds earlier. And right away, like they win the draw, get it down the ice. No, let's not do that. And there was just no respite for Skinner. And this time it was a shot that he couldn't. He really had no chance on. And it was just too easy. And,
it was
nobody did anything horribly wrong. They just didn't. Nobody got the guy's stick, the dangerous
well,
guy's stick.
Kulak.
Yeah,
Kulak
maybe.
was way too soft. He was
Yeah.
behind the guy. He just has to, it wasn't that hard to play for Kulak. Like sometimes a deflection play is difficult, Bruce. Like
Mhm.
if the guy's facing like if the guy's facing the shooter, the offensive players facing the point man who's shooting it in,
Right. Hard
sometimes
to
hard
get
to get a
through him.
stick then, right? But he could have easily got Kulak's stick. The shooter was kind of coming across the ice. He could have lifted it. It was just a matter of concentration, intensity, timing, being there and determining like he is not going to deflect that puck, that point shot. And Kulak did none of those things, and it was deflected. I like Kulak as a player. I think he's a good third pairing left shot D man. I'm just not sure he's a penalty killer or a second pairing um, defensive player. I don't know if he just has that kind of defensive intensity that it takes against the NHL's best players to shut them down. So Tyson Barrie, on the other hand, had a heck of a game. I thought he was really good. I came close to giving him 8 by game of 7. I thought he was making plays all over the ice again. Good for him.
He's really confident with the puck. I've seen him pulling off one-on-one moves in his own zone.
Yeah,
You sort of say, well, the last guy back shouldn't be doing that, but he's just using, you got lots of space to make moves
yeah,
when you're not in tight to the other team's net. And a good D-man will take advantage of that space and just create space for themselves by, with shiftiness. And Barry is exceptional at that. And there you'll just, you'll have a forechecker on him in 1 second, and the next second the forechecker is over there somewhere, and Barry's over here with the puck looking to make a pass. And he is a very, to me, very almost criminally underrated player in this town. Like so many people look at him and see $4.5 million. It could be spent better somewhere else. And how about giving him a little credit where it's due? I mean, Jesus, I think he's got 12 assists in the last 8 games now. And sure, some of them are second assists. In fact, many of them are second assists because what he does best is get the puck to Connor or Leon, and what they do best is get it to whoever's going to put it in the net, which is often Leon or Connor for that matter. But it's he's a point guard, right? I mean, you don't expect a lot of goals, but boy, he's sure racking up the helpers, and he got another one tonight.
He really is underrated, and in the last 2 years especially, he started out slowly, and he's won me over both years by playing solid defensive hockey with his usual solid passing. And you're right, Bruce. Like he does do tricky moves with the puck back there on his own, but he pulls them off. There was one I think in the third period that I noticed where he's kind of spun around with the puck to evade the Dallas forechecker, and he did it, and he's capable of doing it because he is really good with the puck. So yeah, everyone's got this like love affair on Twitter for Jacob Chychrun, and I don't know. Maybe Jacob Chychrun is this really good player. I can't say. I haven't watched him 20 or 30 games, broken down the videotape, done the necessary video review work to have a solid opinion of the player. And I'm curious if the people who are so high on him have done that kind of work. Maybe they have. But and maybe he would be the answer for the Oilers. But is he going to be like Tyson Barrie is he going to be better than Tyson Barrie? Because Tyson Barrie is really good. Like he's playing solid. I don't like him on the penalty kill. I will say
No,
that.
I have to
But
agree.
at even strength, Tyson Barrie is thriving. Like he's playing some of the best hockey, certainly since he arrived at the Oilers. And in the last 2 years with the Oilers at even strength, he's been a good hockey player. So numbers,
Crushing it on the power play.
yeah, not well. He's leading a historically good NHL power play. From
Well, yeah, he's part of it. I mean, I think he's number 2 in the NHL in goals for on per 60. Just a couple of a fraction of a point behind. Uh, is it Heiskanen? And he's also number 2 in the NHL in points per 60 on the power play. He's training 2 different guys. One of them's Heiskanen in one category, and the other one is, again, one of the very, very top power plays. And you can say, well, it's because he's on such a good power play. Well, guess what? He's part of the power play and part of the reason why it's such a good power play. And again, his contribution to that, to me, has been underrated.
I think so. He's certainly shut people like me up who were arguing last year to have Bouchard on the power play. I mean, the Oilers are saving money, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Not having Evan Bouchard, but he's looked. Tyson Barrie has just looked, and I think functioned better than Bouchard on the power play this year. He's earned that spot again this year, and good for him. He's crushing it. All right, what is your number?
I'm going to go with number 3. And that is number of points Oilers earned on this road trip. And as soon as they won the game, and the TV guys were talking about getting the split on how the dad's got to split on the dad's road trip, and I'm saying that's a Bettman split. That's the way you want to get a split. You get a win and an overtime loss, and all of a sudden with the win and loss, instead of treading water or worse, as you do against the league, most on balance, you get about 2.25 points awarded per team for every 2 games. So if you keep only getting 2 out of 2 games, you're losing ground. But if you get 3 points in 2 games, you're gaining ground on the league. So by coming out of this road trip with 2 results, the Oilers have actually taken a step back and at least made up some of the ground they lost on the recent 2-game homestand. And so just like that, by winning, I would say the unlikeliest of the last 4 games, 1 win, 1 regulation loss, 2 other losses, 4 points, and all of a sudden that 3-game losing streak is almost ameliorated with a single victory because they were able to pick up these extra points in 2 of the other games. And it's I hate it. I hate the rule. I think it's the worst rule change in the history of all the sports that I've watched for my entire life. That's what I think about the betting point. Like I think it affects the integrity of the competition, and that's
Sorry
a
for laughing.
very harsh thing. But you got to play to that rule because everybody else does, and so coming out of a road trip 1-0-1 is a much more successful road trip than 1-1-0, and we'll take that 3 points back home and hopefully build on off of that. If the Oilers can play like they did tonight, there's more wins to come.
All right. That was one of those comments where, I can only say, tell us what you really think, Bruce.
I've been telling it. I can point you to articles I wrote at Copper and Blue in 2008 and 09 about how much I hated the Bettman point rule then, and it's never been changed, and it's still wrong. IHF got it right, and they figured it out in about 10 minutes. But this is the NHL,
So you inspired me on my number, Bruce. I went to Natural Stat Trick
okay.
to look up points per 60 on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just individual points per 60.
Oh.
It's the Oilers have kind of
Dominate again.
otherworldly numbers right now. Unsustainable would be another way of putting it, but they have been. It's the season's almost. Connor McDavid, he's 14 points per 60.
Wow.
Can that be right?
Yeah,
14,
he's got it can
14
be.
points per 60. He leads the NHL. He's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Leon Draisaitl is fifth in the NHL at 10.6 points per 60. And Tyson Barrie is seventh in the NHL, Bruce. Seventh in the NHL at 10.3 points per 60. These are just, and Nuge is then just a little bit behind them at 9.1.
Any D-men ahead of Barrie, or is he now moved
Charlie
into...
McAvoy is ahead of Barrie
that's the guy.
at 11 points per 60. So there's only one other D-man who's got more points. Let me just see total assists. And McAvoy's got way more second assists than Barrie in that regard. He's got 7.7 second assists, and Barrie has 5.9. So there you go. Tyson Barrie is crushing it on the power play, Bruce. He really is. And he is a very unselfish player and a smart player. And he's becoming a smart player on defense as well, something I thought I would never say. And I'm going to say this. Darnell Nurse should say, hey, Tyson, how did you turn around your defensive game last year? What did you do? And Tyson will say, well, I just started to really simplify things. I made sure I stayed on my right side of my man in my own zone, and I didn't try to force things up the ice. Oh, think I should try that? Yeah, Darnell, that would be a heck of a good idea at this point.
And when he does pinch, which he still does, and he does it very effectively, he's really good at keeping Tyson Barrie. And he's good at going right into the hash marks or deeper to do it. But one thing that has changed that wasn't the case in his early time of his career here is when the defenseman made a bad pinch, all the forwards would get caught with him, and it would be a 2-on-1. Whereas this changed, especially last year, that when defensemen were beaten on bad pinches, there was a forward there, and it was just a 2-on-2, and they usually had it covered. So I'm just going to look up goals per 60 on the power play.
Sure thing.
There we go. And for guys that played significant minutes, we have Tage Thompson, number 1, at 6.06. Connor McDavid, number 2, at 5.36. And Leon Draisaitl, number 3, at 5.32 goals per 60. 5 goals per 60 on the power play. 2 guys on the team. They're tied for the lead with 13 power play goals each.
The only problem,
incredible how good is Edmonton's power play.
Yeah. The only problem with Tage Thompson and Leon Draisaitl is they're not Canadians. I'd like to see them play for Team Canada one day, but not going to happen. All right, Bruce. The next game is Friday.
Yep. Home game against the Canucks.
Oh,
just
big
before
one.
The Christmas
you got to win that one because
Oh.
that'll be a sneaky awful loss.
Yeah, you don't want a sour taste in your mouth over the entire Christmas holiday either, right?
Yeah, they could lose that one because the Canucks aren't a terrible team; they're an okay team, and they can score.
The Oilers just have to bring their game that they brought tonight, and what you want to see is something they can build on. And to me, this was a building block kind of game.
I agree.
They can sort of say, well, we got more than one way to beat a team. This was a very good team that the Oilers beat. And they beat them with new line combinations. I thought they played a hard physical game, Edmonton, right from the start. Like the thing that stood out for me in the first 10 minutes was the heavy body checking that was going on, and they held their own in that department, and they were in it to win it.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. How'd the new mic work out, by the way?
Your voice sounded like Frank Sinatra on a good day, Bruce. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. As long as it's coming through loud and clear after
You sound
the
great,
recent
actually.
fiasco, that's good.
It's less, to me. It sounds at least a little. It doesn't like it does sound more dulcet, like less tinny, like more softer tones, and it sounds really good. So
Good.
this Frank Sinatra comment was just a little bit of hyperbole, but not much. All right, thanks again, Bruce.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. That was our mandatory 1950s pop culture reference.